The starships appeared without warning above Earth's moon. They were massive, larger than any human vessel, and they shimmered with colors that hurt to look at. Within hours, every screen on Earth showed the same message in perfect English. We come in peace. We are the Galactic Union. Quan Tai stood in his small apartment in Seoul, watching the broadcast with careful eyes. His left arm, the prosthetic one, rested on the windowsill. Outside, people celebrated in the streets. They danced and cheered. First contact with aliens. It was everything humanity had dreamed of for centuries. But Quan Tai did not celebrate. He had seen too much in his life to trust pretty words from strangers with big guns. He touched his arm, feeling the cold metal beneath the synthetic skin. The war that had taken his real arm had taught him many lessons. The most important one was simple. Never show all your cards at once. 3 days later, he sat in a room with 50 other people. They were all important now, chosen to meet the aliens. Quan Tai wore expensive civilian clothes that hid his prosthetic well. Nobody here knew he had been a colonel once. Nobody knew about the battles he had fought in the dark days of the 22nd century. Ambassador Yuna stood at the front of the room. She was young, smart, and she believed in peace. Remember, she said, we must show them the best of humanity. We are a peaceful species now. The wars are behind us. We must make them understand that we are ready to join the galactic community. Quan Tai said nothing. Around him, the others nodded eagerly. Scientists, artists, diplomats, all of them saw the aliens as friends waiting to happen. All of them wanted to believe in a bright future. Hansora sat next to him. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life forms. Though, of course, until 3 days ago, she had only studied theories. Are you excited? She whispered to him. I am curious, Quan Tai replied. It was not a lie, but it was not the whole truth either. The aliens arrived in a smaller ship. It landed on the prepared platform in Geneva, where the old United Nations building stood. Cameras from every nation watched as the door opened. The creature that stepped out called itself Velthra. It walked on 4 legs but had 2 arms that extended from its upper body. Its skin was smooth and gray and its eyes were too large for its face. When it spoke, a device on its chest translated the sounds into human languages. Greetings, humans of Earth, Velthra said. Its voice was soft, almost musical. We have watched your world for some time. We are pleased to finally meet you. The humans clapped. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward and bowed. Welcome to Earth. We are honored by your presence. For 2 months, the aliens studied Earth. They visited cities and museums. They watched human art and listened to human music. They ate human food and met human children. Velthra sent regular reports back to something called the High Council. Quan Tai read those reports. He had access because officially he worked as a cultural consultant. Unofficially, he was still part of Earth's defense network. The network that nobody talked about. The network that the aliens must never discover. The reports troubled him. Velthra described humans as soft and culturally timid. The alien wrote that Earth had no significant military presence. It observed that humans seemed obsessed with peace and comfort. It concluded that humans would make acceptable junior members of the Galactic Union. Junior members. The words stuck in Quan Tai's throat like broken glass. He met with Park Hyun in a cafe that looked ordinary, but had walls that blocked all listening devices. Park Hyun was officially the defense minister. Unofficially, he was a general who had fought beside Quan Tai in the old wars. They think we are sheep, Park Hyun said quietly, stirring his coffee. Good, Quan Tai replied. Let them think it. For how long? As long as necessary. Park Hyun looked tired. The politicians want to accept their offer. Full membership in the Galactic Union. They say it will bring us technology, protection, knowledge. At what cost? That is what worries me. Park Hyun leaned closer. I have been reading about the other species in the Union. 47 different species, they say. But I cannot find records of any of them having strong military forces. I cannot find records of any of them saying no to the Union. Quan Tai nodded slowly. He had noticed the same thing. Every species in the Galactic Union seemed happy. Too happy. Like people who had forgotten they had ever wanted anything else. Meanwhile, Hansora worked closely with the aliens. She studied their biology, their chemistry, their needs. She learned that they came from a low-gravity world. She learned that they found Earth's atmosphere a bit too thick, Earth's gravity a bit too strong. She learned that they tired easily here. She also learned that they had never fought a real war. The concept seemed foreign to them. When she asked Velthra about conflict, the alien looked confused. Conflict, Velthra said. Why would advanced species have conflict? That is for primitives. Hansora smiled and nodded, but later she sent a message to Quan Tai. Just 3 words. They are naive. The offer came on a Tuesday. The Galactic Union invited Earth to join as a protected member state. It sounded good on paper. Humans would receive technology. Humans would receive knowledge of 1,000 worlds. Humans would receive protection from any threats in the galaxy. In exchange, Earth would follow Union laws. Earth would accept Union governors on its colonies. Earth would contribute resources to the Union's needs. Earth would essentially become a vassal. Ambassador Yuna presented the offer to Earth's government with shining eyes. This is our chance, she said. We can become part of something greater. The vote was scheduled for 1 month away. Around the world, people debated. Most wanted to accept. Who could refuse such an offer? Quan Tai walked through Seoul at night, watching the happy crowds. They held signs welcoming the aliens. They sang songs about universal peace. They believed, truly believed, that humanity had left its violent past behind. His prosthetic arm ached, the way it always did when storms were coming. He looked up at the sky where the alien ships waited like patient predators. They think we are innocent, he said quietly to himself. They think we are harmless. He thought about the hidden bases on Mars, the weapons platforms disguised as mining stations. The thousands of veterans like him, scattered across Earth and its colonies, living quiet civilian lives. Waiting. His phone buzzed. A message from Park Hyun. Meeting tomorrow. Usual place. Quan Tai typed back. Understood. He walked home through the celebrating streets, surrounded by people who had no idea what was coming. People who thought peace was forever. People who had forgotten that sometimes predators mistake kindness for weakness. And that mistake, Quan Tai thought, was always fatal. The only question was, fatal for whom? 3 months after first contact, everything changed. The vote had passed. Earth was officially a member of the Galactic Union. The celebrations lasted for weeks. But the happiness did not last long. Captain Cho Mina commanded the merchant vessel Morning Star, a large ship that carried supplies between Earth and the Mars colonies. She had owned the ship for 5 years. Before that, she had been in the Navy, but nobody asked about those days. Her crew of 20 was experienced and professional. They knew their jobs. On the day everything changed, they were approaching the Titan station near Saturn. It was a mining facility with 300 workers. The route was familiar, almost boring. Captain, her first officer said, we are receiving a strange transmission. Cho Mina looked at her screens. Play it. The message was from the Galactic Union. It was official and cold. All human vessels must report to designated collection points. All human colonies outside Earth's moon orbit are now under Union administration. Compliance is mandatory. Cho Mina felt her stomach turn cold. When was this sent? 2 hours ago. Why did we not hear about this from Earth? I do not know, Captain. She tried to contact Earth, nothing. She tried to contact Mars colonies, nothing. She tried to contact Titan Station, static. Then her sensors screamed a warning. 3 Union ships were approaching fast. They were not the diplomatic vessels that had visited Earth. These were different, bigger, covered in what looked like weapons. Captain, they are targeting us, her weapons officer said. His name was Rin Day, and like Cho Mina, he had served in the old Navy. His hands moved across his console with practiced ease. A merchant ship, Cho Mina said slowly. They are targeting a merchant ship. Orders, Captain? She thought about her crew. She thought about the people on Titan Station. She thought about every human in the colonies. Then she thought about the hidden modifications to her ship. The weapons that were not in any official records. The armor plating disguised as hull reinforcement. Battle stations, she said quietly. Activate defensive systems. Rinday's fingers flew across the controls. Panels on the Morning Star's hull slid open. Weapons emerged. The merchant ship suddenly looked much more dangerous. The Union ships hesitated. Cho Mina could imagine their confusion. A merchant ship with military-grade weapons. They are hailing us, her communications officer said. Ignore it. Target their engines. Fire when ready. The Morning Star struck first. Its missiles were old human designs, built for the wars that the aliens thought were history. They moved fast and hit hard. The lead Union ship's engine exploded. The ship spun out of control. The other two Union ships returned fire, but their weapons were designed for overwhelming unarmed targets. They had never fought anyone who shot back. Their tactics were clumsy, their responses slow. Chomina's ship danced between their attacks. She had fought in the Belt Wars, where every pilot learned to move through debris fields at high speed. This was easy compared to that. "Hit the second ship's command section," she ordered. Rinde fired. The shot was perfect. The Union ship went dark. The third ship tried to run. Chomina let it go. "Send a message to Earth," she said. "Tell them the Union is attacking the colonies. Tell them the war has started." At Titan Station, Rindai's brother, also named Rinde but going by his full name Rindaisung to avoid confusion, was working security when the Union forces arrived. He was a big man, quiet and calm. He had been a Marine in the old days. Now he just wanted a peaceful life. The Union soldiers came in boarding pods. There were 50 of them. They expected the 300 miners to surrender immediately. They expected fear and compliance. What they got was Rindaisung. He had been checking the storage bays when the alarms went off. He saw the boarding pods attached to the station's hull. He saw the hatches open. He saw the armed aliens pour in. He also saw the emergency weapons locker that every human station had, hidden where inspections would not find it. "All personnel, evacuate to the safe rooms," he said over the station's intercom. His voice was steady and calm. "I will handle our guests." For 6 hours, Rindaisung fought alone in the corridors of Titan Station. He used the station itself as a weapon. He knew every corner, every passage, every maintenance tunnel. The aliens did not. He sealed sections, vented atmosphere, cut power. He attacked from shadows and disappeared before they could respond. He used old Marine tactics that the aliens had never seen. The Union soldiers were confused and frightened. They had been told humans were peaceful. They had been told this would be easy. Instead, they were being hunted by something that would not stop, would not tire, would not surrender. When the Marine reinforcements arrived from Mars, they found Rindaisung sitting in the command center, covered in blood and exhaustion. Around him, the station was a wreck, but it was still human, and every single civilian had survived. On Earth, in a secure facility beneath Geneva, Park Hyun activated the defense protocols that had been hidden for years. All across the solar system, mining stations revealed weapons platforms. Civilian satellites showed their true nature as military sensors. Ordinary ships dropped their disguises. Quan Tai stood beside him wearing his old uniform again. It still fit, though his prosthetic arm gleamed silver now, no longer hidden. "How many ships do we have?" Park Hyun asked. 300 combat-ready vessels, an officer reported. Another 500 with light armaments. Every colony is armed. Every station has defenses. Park Hyun looked at the tactical display. The Galactic Union's compliance fleet was entering the solar system. 2,000 ships. They outnumbered humanity 10-1. "They think we are weak," Park Hyun said. "Yes," Quan Tai replied. "That is their first mistake." Ambassador Yuna burst into the command center. Her face was pale with shock and anger. "What have you done?" she demanded. "We had peace. We had a treaty. We had a trap," Quan Tai said gently. "They were always going to do this, Ambassador. The treaty was just a delay while they positioned their forces. You do not know that. I know that 47 species joined the Union peacefully," Quan Tai said. "I know that none of them have independent military forces anymore. I know that they all started with the same offer we received. And I know that every one of them is now completely under Union control." Yuna stared at him. "They said we would be protected. Protected like livestock," Park Hyun said. "Did you read the full treaty, Ambassador? The parts they hid in legal language? They wanted our colony worlds. They wanted our resources. They wanted us to become another subject species." Han Sora entered the room carrying data tablets. She had been working around the clock since the attack began. "I have analyzed the Union biology and their ship designs. They have weaknesses, many weaknesses." "Tell me," Quan Tai said. "They come from low-gravity worlds. Our gravity exhausts them. They breathe different air ratios. Our standard atmosphere is uncomfortable for most of them. Their ships are built for overwhelming weak opponents, not for actual combat. They have no armor in the places where we would put armor. They have no redundancy in their systems. Because they have never needed it, Quantai said, understanding. They have never fought anyone who could fight back. Exactly, Hansora confirmed. They are used to victims, not soldiers. The Union commander, an alien named Krillnex, sent a final message to Earth. His translation was cold and mechanical. You have shown aggression. This is unacceptable. Surrender now or we will destroy your homeworld. Park Hyun looked at Quantai. Your orders, Admiral? Admiral, the rank Quantai had left behind years ago, the rank he had hoped never to use again. He looked at the screen showing the massive alien fleet approaching Earth. He thought about Cho Mina fighting in her merchant ship. He thought about Rin Daesung holding a station alone. He thought about every human who had pretended to be soft and peaceful while keeping their weapons sharp. Send a reply, Quantai said. Tell them we gave them innocent. We gave them peaceful. We showed them what they wanted to see. He paused, his prosthetic hand clenching into a fist. Now they get soldiers. The message went out across all frequencies, and in the darkness of space, humanity's hidden war machine came fully awake. The war began in earnest on a Monday. The Galactic Union's compliance fleet entered Earth's solar system with confidence. They had crushed resistance from 47 different species. Humanity would be number 48. They were very, very wrong. Admiral Quantai stood in the command center on Luna, Earth's moon. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at their stations. Above them, holographic displays showed the entire solar system. Red dots marked enemy ships. Blue dots marked human forces. There were many more red dots. But Quantai was not worried about numbers. Status of our forces? He asked. All platforms are active, reported Commander Song Nari, his tactical operations officer. She was young but brilliant, a woman who could see patterns in chaos. Mars' defense grid is online. The belt stations are armed. Earth's orbital fortresses are ready. And our pilots? Eager, sir, she said with a small smile. Among those pilots was Limbo, a man who had spent the last 5 years pretending to be a civilian flight instructor. Now he sat in the cockpit of a strike fighter, surrounded by 200 other fighters just like his. They waited in the shadow of an asteroid, invisible to the alien sensors. Limbo had been the best pilot in the Earth Defense Force before the official peace. He had flown in the Belt Wars, in the Mars conflicts, in the desperate battle for Europa. He knew things about flying that most people could not imagine. All wings report ready, his squadron leader said over the comm. Good, Limbo replied. He flexed his hands on the controls. The fighter felt like an extension of his body. Remember, they do not know how to fight. They only know how to bully. Show them the difference. The alien fleet approached Earth in a standard formation. They broadcast their demands. Surrender or die. Simple, effective. It had worked 47 times before. Quantai watched them come. He waited until they were committed, until they were deep in the gravity well, until they thought they had won. Now, he said quietly. Song Nari's fingers danced across her controls. All units execute attack pattern Omega. The asteroids exploded with light. Not from weapons, but from engines. What the aliens had thought were ordinary rocks were actually ships. Hundreds of ships. They had been waiting cold and dark, pretending to be debris. Limbo's fighter screamed out of hiding at speeds that made his vision blur. Around him, his wing followed. They fell toward the alien fleet like meteors. The aliens tried to respond, but they were too slow. Human fighters moved through their formation like sharks through a school of fish. The aliens' weapons were designed for long range, for hitting large targets that could not dodge. They were useless against small, fast fighters piloted by humans who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Limbo targeted a cruiser's bridge. His missiles struck true. The ship went dark. He was already targeting another before the first one started to tumble. This is easy, his wingman said over the comm. Stay focused, Limbo warned. Easy is when you make mistakes. He was right. A moment later, 3 alien fighters appeared. They were faster than the big ships designed for this kind of combat. They opened fire on the human squadron, but they had never fought in Earth's gravity well. They had never trained in an environment where everything wanted to pull you down, where every maneuver had to account for a massive planet's attraction. Human pilots had been flying in these conditions since birth. Limbo rolled his fighter in a way that should have been impossible. The alien shots missed. He came up behind them and fired. 2 aliens died. The third tried to run, but another human pilot caught it. In the belt, the asteroid mining stations revealed their true purpose. They were not just mining facilities. They were weapons platforms with railguns powerful enough to punch through ship hulls from thousands of kilometers away. The aliens tried to attack them, but the stations were dug into solid rock. They could not be easily destroyed, and the operators knew the belt better than anyone. They knew every hiding spot, every angle of attack. On Mars, the colony's defense grid activated. The aliens had seen the human cities there during their visit. What they had not seen were the massive gun emplacements hidden beneath the red sand, or the missile silos scattered across the planet, or the fact that every civilian vehicle could be quickly armed. The Union's war marshal, an alien called Thokmir, watched the battle from his flagship. He could not understand what was happening. His sensors showed thousands of human military assets. But the intelligence had said humans were peaceful. The intelligence had said humans had no significant military. Where did they hide all this? He demanded. His officers had no answer. They were too busy trying to coordinate a defense against an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. Han Sora worked in a different kind of battlefield. She sat in an intelligence center, analyzing every piece of data from the combat. She looked for patterns, for weaknesses, for anything that could help humanity win. Their command ships, she said suddenly. Look at their command ships. Song Nari pulled up the data. What am I looking at? They have no backup systems, Han Sora explained. If you destroy the command deck, the entire ship loses coordination. They are not designed to operate with damaged systems. Because they never expected to be damaged, Song Nari understood. She sent the information to all human forces immediately. The tactic changed. Human ships stopped trying to destroy alien vessels completely. Instead, they targeted command centers. Alien ships, suddenly leaderless, became confused and ineffective. Many of them simply stopped fighting, waiting for orders that would never come. But the war was not without cost. Humans died too. Ships were destroyed. Stations were damaged. The aliens had numbers on their side, and they were learning. Jae Young was a Special Forces operative, one of the best humanity had. When an alien command carrier managed to get close to Earth, he led a boarding team of 50 soldiers onto the ship. The aliens had thought their ship was safe. It had armor and shields. It had guards and security systems. But they had never faced humans who specialized in infiltration. Jae Young and his team moved through the alien ship like ghosts. They wore suits that let them survive in the ship's toxic atmosphere. They used cutting tools that the aliens did not even know existed. They struck at critical systems and disappeared before the aliens could respond. The aliens hunted them through the corridors, but the humans knew how to fight in enclosed spaces. They set traps. They used the ship's own systems against its crew. They fought with a viciousness that the aliens had never experienced. In 6 hours, Jae Young's team crippled the command carrier. Its engines were damaged. Its weapons were offline. Its command center was destroyed. The massive ship drifted helplessly. When the alien reinforcements finally arrived to secure their own ship, they found Jae Young's team already evacuated. The humans had walked through their most secure vessel like it was nothing. Thokmir received the report with disbelief. How? He demanded.
How can they do this?
One of his intelligence officers, younger and more observant, spoke carefully. Marshal, I have been reviewing the data. Every human we captured, even the civilians, had some level of combat training. The merchants were former military. The miners were veterans. The teachers, the farmers, the artists, all of them had served in their military at some point. That is impossible, Thokmir said. An entire species cannot be soldiers. But they are, the officer said quietly. Not active soldiers, perhaps, but every one of them knows how to fight. Their entire civilization is built on a foundation of war. They did not stop having wars. They just became very, very good at them. In the command center, Quan Te reviewed the battle reports. Humanity had been at war for 2 weeks. The Union had lost 400 ships. They were retreating from the outer colonies, but they were regrouping. And they had thousands more ships coming. We cannot win a war of numbers, Songnari said. Eventually, they will overwhelm us. Then we do not fight a war of numbers, Quan Te replied. We fight a war of will. We show them that conquering humanity costs more than they are willing to pay. And if they are willing to pay any cost? Quan Te looked at the display showing Earth, his home. the home of 8 billion humans who had lived in peace for decades, who had believed the wars were over, who now fought for their survival. Then we make the cost unbearable, he said. His prosthetic hand clenched. They wanted to absorb us like they absorbed the others. But those others did not know how to fight. We do, and we will teach them a lesson they will never forget. What lesson is that, sir? That wolves do not fear sheep, Quante said quietly. No matter how many sheep there are. The war continued. And humanity, the species that had been dismissed as innocent and harmless, showed the galaxy what battle-scarred soldiers could do when they stopped pretending to be anything else. 8 months into the war, nothing was the same. The Galactic Union had expected a quick victory. They had expected humanity to collapse within weeks. Instead, they faced an enemy that refused to die. Admiral Quan Te stood on the bridge of the battleship Indomitable, looking at the tactical display. His fleet had just liberated the colony on Ganymede. The alien occupation had lasted 4 months. 4 months of horror that made his blood boil. How many survivors? He asked. 2,000, Commander Song Nari reported. Her voice was tight with controlled anger. Out of 8,000 colonists. Quan Te closed his eyes briefly. 6,000 dead. Men, women, children. The aliens had killed them not out of military necessity, but to make a point. To show other humans what happened when they resisted, it had backfired spectacularly. Now every human fought with the fury of someone who had nothing left to lose. Get medical teams down there immediately, he ordered, and find out who commanded the alien occupation forces. I want names. The war had become brutal. The Union had learned that humans could not be beaten easily, so they had changed tactics. They attacked civilian targets. They destroyed supply lines. They tried to break human will by targeting the weak, but they did not understand humans. Every atrocity made humanity fight harder. Every war crime strengthened human resolve. The Union was creating the very enemy it could not defeat. Captain Chomina commanded a fleet now, not just one ship. Her privateer forces raided Union supply convoys with ruthless efficiency. She had lost her original ship, the Morning Star, in a desperate battle near Jupiter, but she survived, and now she led 40 vessels crewed by people who had lost everything to the Union. Target acquired. Her tactical officer reported. Union supply convoy, 12 ships. Any escorts? Chomina asked. 4 warships. Good odds. She smiled coldly. All ships, attack formation Beta. Hit them fast, take what we can, and get out. Her fleet struck like a hammer. The Union warships tried to respond, but Chomina's forces had been fighting for months. They knew every Union tactic, every weakness, every mistake the aliens always made. In 20 minutes, it was over. The Union warships were destroyed. The supply ships were captured. Food, medicine, ammunition, everything went into the holds of human ships. Any casualties? Chomina asked. 2 ships damaged, no deaths. Good. Let us move before their reinforcements arrive. The privateers disappeared into the darkness of space, leaving only wreckage behind. The Union would send investigators. They would try to understand how a small human force could destroy a protected convoy. They would fail to understand, just as they failed to understand everything about humanity. On the front lines, in a field hospital on Mars, Dr. Park Jin worked without stopping. He had been a trauma surgeon before the war. Now he operated on soldiers every day, sometimes for 18 hours straight. Another one coming in, a nurse called. Park Jin looked up from the soldier he was stitching closed. Human or alien? Alien. Prep surgery room 2. I will be there in 5 minutes. The nurses exchanged glances. They had learned not to question Dr. Park's decisions, but treating enemy soldiers still felt wrong to many of them. When Park Jin entered the surgery room, he found an alien soldier on the table. The creature was badly wounded, probably from a fighter crash. It looked at him with 3 eyes full of fear. Do not worry, Park Jin said, though he knew the alien probably could not understand. I am a doctor. I will help you. He worked for 3 hours to save the alien's life. When he was done, he was exhausted. But the alien would live. Outside, a Union prisoner who spoke English asked him, "Why do you save our soldiers?" "We are your enemy." Park Jin looked at the alien. "Because I am a doctor," he said simply. "My oath is to preserve life. Not just human life. All life. But we have killed your people." "Yes," Park Jin said. "And that is why you are a prisoner, and why your leaders will face justice." "But you..." He pointed at the wounded alien. "You are just a soldier following orders. Just like our soldiers, you deserve medical care." The alien prisoner was quiet for a long moment. "Your people are strange," it finally said. "Perhaps," Park Jin agreed. "But we are also human, and that means something." Word spread among the alien forces about the human doctor who saved enemy lives. Some aliens thought it was a trick, but others began to wonder, if humans showed mercy even to their enemies, what kind of species were they really? Anhana worked in psychological warfare, broadcasting messages across the galaxy. She had been a communications officer in the old Navy. Now she used her skills to tell the truth about the Galactic Union. "Citizens of the Union," her messages said in dozens of translated languages. "You have been told that the Union is peaceful. You have been told that the Union protects you. These are lies." She showed footage of Union atrocities. She showed the truth about how the Union had conquered the 47 species. She showed that every protected species was actually enslaved. "Humanity fights not for conquest," her broadcasts continued, "but for freedom. We offer you the same. Rise up, take back your worlds. We will help you." The Union tried to block her broadcasts, but Anhana was too clever. She used relay stations hidden throughout the Union's territory. She used captured Union equipment. She used every trick she had learned in decades of military service, and slowly, her messages found their audience. On a Union-controlled world called Velnar, the slave population heard Anhana's broadcasts. They learned that the humans were winning battles. They learned that the Union could be beaten. They learned that they did not have to accept their chains. The rebellion started small. A few workers refused to report to their jobs. A few guards found their weapons missing. A few Union officials discovered that their orders were being ignored. Then it spread. Within weeks, Velnar was in open revolt. The Union sent troops to crush the rebellion, but the rebels had learned from human tactics. They fought from the shadows. They struck and disappeared. They made every street a battlefield. The Union had never dealt with insurgency before. They did not know how to fight an enemy that looked like civilians but acted like soldiers. They did not know how to hold a population that refused to be held, and it was not just Velnar. Across the Union's territory, other species heard about the rebellion. They heard about humanity's war. They began to hope. In a prison cell on Earth, Velthra, the alien who had first contacted humanity, sat alone. She had been captured when her ship was destroyed in battle. Now she was a prisoner of war. She had expected torture. She had expected death. Instead, she was treated according to human rules of war. She was given food, water, and medical care. She was allowed to send messages to her family. She was kept in a clean cell with access to books and entertainment. It confused her deeply. A human guard brought her dinner. His name was Tae Min, an older man who seemed to enjoy talking. "Why do you treat us well?" Velthra asked him one evening. "We are your enemy." "Because that is who we are," Tae Min replied. "We fight hard, yes, but we do not abandon our principles. Prisoners of war have rights, even enemy prisoners. But your people have died, thousands of them, because of us." "Yes," Tae Min said quietly, "and those responsible will face justice. But you were just following orders, just doing your job. That does not make you evil." Just wrong, Velthra thought about this. In all her years in the Union, she had never heard anyone make such a distinction. In the Union, enemies were enemies. They were destroyed or enslaved. There was no middle ground. "I think," she said slowly, "I am beginning to understand why you are winning." "Why is that?" "Because you are warriors who remember mercy," Velthra said. "Your Union leaders told us you were weak, but we were wrong. Mercy is not weakness. It is strength we never understood." Tae Min smiled. "Perhaps when this war is over, you can help your people understand that too." Admiral Quan Tae stood in the command center, reviewing the strategic situation. 8 months of war. The Union had lost thousands of ships. Dozens of worlds were in rebellion. The Grand Alliance that had ruled the galaxy for centuries was crumbling, but the cost had been terrible. Humanity had lost colonies. They had lost ships. They had lost millions of people. "The Union High Council is fragmenting," Hansora reported. She had been analyzing Union communications for weeks. "Several member species are questioning the war. Some are even suggesting peace negotiations." "And the Union leadership?" Quan Tae asked, still committed to victory. "They believe they can crush us if they just send enough ships." Song Nari looked at the tactical display. They are massing their fleet at the Betelgeuse system. Over 5,000 ships. I think they are preparing for a final assault on Earth. Quan Tai nodded.
He had expected this.
The Union could not afford to lose to humanity. If they did, their entire civilization would collapse, so they would commit everything to one last battle. Then we prepare to meet them, he said. Send orders to all fleets. Every ship, every station, every soldier. We are going to end this war. Sir, Song Nari said carefully, they outnumber us 5-1. They outnumbered us 10-1 at the start, Quan Tai replied, and we are still here. He looked at his officers, these brave people who had fought beside him for 8 long months. We have shown them what humans can do. Now we show them what humans will do to protect their home. The orders went out across human space. The Union fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system like a dark tide. 5,000 ships, all of them converging on Earth. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. The Union High Council had committed everything to this final battle. They would conquer humanity or die trying. Admiral Quan Tai watched them come from the bridge of the Indomitable. Around him, the human fleet waited. 800 ships. Every vessel humanity could spare. Every crew ready to die protecting their home. They outnumber us 6-1, Commander Song Nari said quietly. Yes, Quan Tai replied, but we have something they do not. What is that, sir? We are fighting for our home. He activated the fleet-wide communication. All ships, this is Admiral Quan, you know what we face. You know the odds, but you also know what we fight for. Our families, our world, our freedom. The Union believes numbers will win this battle. Let us show them that courage matters more. Across the fleet, human crews prepared for battle. In fighters, pilots like Limbo checked their weapons one last time. On warships, gunners loaded their cannons. In engineering sections, technicians made sure every system was perfect. The Union fleet sent a final demand. Surrender or be destroyed. Total submission or total annihilation. Quan Tai read the message and smiled grimly. Send a reply, he told his communications officer. Tell them we gave them one chance for peace. They chose war. Now they will learn what war truly means. The battle began with the Union fleet advancing in a massive formation. They expected the humans to try to defend Earth directly. They expected a stationary fight where numbers would matter. Instead, the human fleet scattered. Ships broke formation and accelerated in dozens of different directions. The Union fleet tried to follow, but their formation collapsed into chaos as they chased multiple targets. Now, Quan Tai ordered. From behind the moon, hundreds of defense platforms emerged. They had been hidden, waiting for this moment. Their weapons opened fire on the confused Union fleet. At the same time, fighters led by Limbo struck from the asteroid belt, hitting the Union's rear formations. The Union fleet, caught between multiple threats, tried to reform. But they had never fought an enemy this skilled. Every time they focused on one threat, another appeared. Limbo led his squadron through the heart of the Union formation. His fighter wove between massive warships too small and fast for their weapons to track. His missiles struck command bridges with surgical precision. Around him, his pilots did the same. This is for every human they killed, Limbo said as he fired. For every colony they destroyed. For every child who will never see their parents again. But the Union had numbers. For every ship they lost, they had 5 more. Slowly, inevitably, they pushed forward toward Earth. On the Indomitable, Quan Tai made a decision. Song Nari, take command of the fleet. Continue the defensive pattern. Sir, where are you going? To end this war. He looked at his tactical officer. Prepare the diplomatic shuttle. And find me Han Sora. 10 minutes later, Quan Tai sat in a small, fast shuttle with Han Sora and a team of 5 guards. The shuttle left the protection of the human fleet and accelerated toward the Union's command ship. This is insane, Han Sora said. They will kill us. Perhaps, Quan Tai agreed. But they will listen first. The Union values protocol. They will give us a chance to speak before they kill us. The shuttle broadcast a message in Union diplomatic codes. Request for parley. Offer of terms. It was the kind of formal communication that the Union could not ignore. The Union command ship, a massive vessel called the Eternal Order, received the shuttle. Quan Tai and his group were brought to the bridge where the Union War Marshal Thokmir waited. You come to surrender? Thokmir asked. No, Quan Tai replied calmly. I come to offer you peace. One final chance. Peace? Thokmir's translator made the word sound like an insult. You have cost us thousands of ships. Dozens of worlds are in rebellion. You have destroyed everything we built. There can be no peace? Then you will lose everything, Quante said. He activated a holographic display. Look at this. The display showed Union territory. World after world marked in red. Rebellions. Uprisings. Slave populations refusing to work. The Grand Galactic Union was collapsing from within. This is your legacy, Quante continued. You built an empire on conquest disguised as peace. You crushed 47 species and called it protection. But you made one mistake. You attacked a species that knows how to fight, and we taught the others how to fight back. We can crush these rebellions, Thokmir insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. Can you? Han Sora spoke for the first time. Can you fight humanity and 47 rebel species at the same time? Can you hold your empire together when everyone knows you can be beaten? We will destroy Earth, Thokmir said. That will end the rebellions. No, Quante said quietly. It will make them worse. If you destroy Earth, you prove to every slave species that the Union is everything we said it was. A tyranny built on fear, and fear only works until someone fights back. Then what do you propose? True peace, Quante said. Not the false peace of submission, but real peace between equals. You surrender your fleet. You release all enslaved species. You face justice for your war crimes. In return, we let your people live. We help rebuild. We create something better. Thokmir laughed, a harsh sound that the translator rendered as mechanical grinding. You think we will accept such terms? You think we will surrender our entire civilization? I think you will, Quante said, because the alternative is extinction. Look at your fleet. We are winning this battle. We have been winning for 8 months. You cannot defeat us. You can only die trying. At that moment, the bridge shook. Something had hit the Eternal Order. Thokmir looked at his tactical display and his face changed. The Union fleet was losing. The human forces were tearing them apart, you see, Quante said. Your ships are falling. Your crews are dying. And for what, pride? The illusion of empire, let it go. Choose life instead. Thokmir stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly the war marshal's shoulders slumped. What guarantee do we have that you will keep your word? You have my word as a soldier, Quante replied. And you have seen what that means. We fight hard, but we fight with honor. We take prisoners instead of executing them. We treat the wounded, even our enemies. We are warriors, yes, but we remember mercy. The communication officer interrupted. Marshal, the High Council is requesting an update. Tell them, Thokmir said slowly. Tell them I am surrendering. The Union fleet stood down. Weapons powered off. Ships stopped moving. In the sudden silence, human crews could hardly believe what they were seeing. All Union vessels, Thokmir broadcast, cease fire. We surrendered to human forces. The battle for Earth was over. Humanity had won. The war crimes trials took place on neutral ground, a space station built specifically for the purpose. Union leaders who had ordered atrocities faced justice. Evidence was presented, and witnesses testified. The galaxy watched. Some Union officials were imprisoned. Some were executed for genocide. Others received lesser sentences. The trials were fair, conducted by judges from multiple species including both humans and reformed Union members. Velthra testified about what she had learned. We called humans innocent, she told the court. We thought they were weak, but we were the innocent ones. We had never known real war. We had never faced an enemy that could fight back. Humans taught us what it means to be soldiers, and they taught us what it means to show mercy to defeated enemies. The Free Worlds Assembly was established 6 months after the war ended. Every species had an equal vote. Every world had autonomy. There were no vassals, no subject species, no empire. Han Sora helped write the founding charter. We learned, she said in her speech at the first assembly, that peace built on conquest is no peace at all. True peace requires respect. It requires freedom. It requires that every species has the right to determine its own future. The charter passed unanimously. Commander Songnari led the reconstruction efforts. Union worlds that had been devastated by rebellion received human aid. Food, medicine, engineers, teachers, humanity sent them all. Former enemies worked together to rebuild. Why help us? A Union civilian asked Songnari once. After everything we did? Because the war is over, Songnari replied. We fought you when you were our enemy. Now we help you because you are our neighbor. That is what peace means. Captain Chomina's privateer fleet became a trade convoy, carrying goods between the formerly isolated species. She discovered that many species had resources others desperately needed, but the Union had controlled all trade. Now free trade flourished. I fought for 8 months, Chomina told her crew one day. I killed Union soldiers. I destroyed Union ships, but I did not fight because I enjoyed war. I fought so that one day I could do this instead. She gestured at the cargo hold full of medicine heading to a former Union world. This is worth fighting for. Dr. Park Jin established a medical academy that trained doctors from all species. Former enemies learned together. Techniques were shared. Lives were saved. Medicine has no enemies, he taught his students. When someone is bleeding, you do not ask what species they are. You just help them. Limbo returned to being a flight instructor, but now he taught pilots from dozens of different worlds.